Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Joffy Noodle Legs here today with another Noodle film review. Today we're looking at a classic, a British classic horror film. One I never really talk about on my channel, just because I never really got round to it. It's a classic starring Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland, and it's called Don't Look Now. Now this is a film based about a young couple who seem to have a daughter, a beautiful young daughter, and the film sort of starts off and they're like at their home, and she's playing about in their rather lavish large garden with a toy action man and a ball, and there's a young lad there as well who's playing around on a bike, and that I think probably a Sunday afternoon. The other two are Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland are just lounging around in the house. He's looking at slides. He's some sort of architect restorer. He sort of stores buildings and things like this. And I don't know what Julie Christie does, but she's there with him, and the kids are playing outside, and a terrible accident happens. The young girl falls into this pond. Of course, I'm not going to show you this because I do not want you to see any I think bad happen to a young child. She falls into this pond and sort of drowns, and as this is happening, as Donald Pleasance is looking at the slides, one of the slides seems to have, like, he spilt like a drink on it. It's like a wine or whatever, but it looks like it's blood coming from the girl, because she's wearing this really potent red raincoat, which is so bright red. It reminds me of I think that the same sort of imagery was used in Schindler's List, where it's all black and white and you had this red coat standing out. This is colour, by the way, as you can see. But yeah, and he looks at this as some sort of sign that there's something wrong. So he goes running out to the garden. Well, the young lad's running towards him, and he knows exactly where to go. He goes straight to the pond, and he sort of jumps into the pond, and he ends up sort of scooping the girl's body out and trying to give her the kiss of life on the bank and trying to save her and stuff like this, but it's too late. She's already gone. Again, I'm not going to show you clips of the child like this because I just don't want to show you anything like that. And Judy Christie sees it and then screams. We then cut to like Venice, where I think that's where they live or work, but he's there restoring an old church in Venice. So he's there, he's doing some sort of architectural work, and they're both out there, and they seem quite happy. They seem to have moved on. I'm taking this is going to be months and months away from the child's death, but they seem to have moved on, and they seem quite content. And they're at a restaurant just having something to eat and stuff like that. And there's an old woman there with another old woman who's blind. And this old woman the blind woman's like a sort of psychic sort of woman. Anyway, one of the women gets something in their eye and they go to the toilet. So Julie Christie helps them there because obviously one of the women's blind and can't see the way. So she helps them there and tries to help sort her eye out. And the blind woman then starts saying weird stuff to her about her daughter, saying, "Oh, she's there with you. She's still there. I saw her sitting between you and your husband. She's smiling, and stuff like this. And yeah, she's wearing this red coat." So she's describing the child. So she's some sort of psychic. She can see visions. And this, first of all, freaks Julie Christie out. But as the sort of film progresses, she actually gets comfort from this, and she still sort of pursues these sort of two women, and asking if they can contact the daughter and stuff like this. And the blind woman senses that her husband's also some form of psychic, and he can see things which we kind of get that gathering from that slide when the blood on the sort of like film slide, where he then goes out because he knows there's something wrong. So he has got something there. And then strange things start happening around Venice, and Donald Sutherland starts seeing visions of the girl everywhere, and start sort of looking and chasing for her. So they start looking for the girl around Venice because they think she's still alive. Um, and so the film sort of turns into a sort of supernatural, psychological sort of horror film. Um, and it's a very haunting film. It's because to me it sort of means two very very grieved and lonely people. In a sense, when I mean lonely, I mean they loss of their daughter so strong that they do anything to try and ease that comfort, and to try and think that there is a possibility she's still alive. And this is where the horror film's quite clever, because it plays on that, and it shows us visions of like this girl, and they start chasing her around the Venice, and that's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil the film for you because it's an amazing film. So what is with this old woman, this blind woman? Are they there actually for a reason, or are they con artists, or whatever they are they just playing on their feelings? Is Donald Sutherland got this sixth sense? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Don't Look Now? It's an amazing film. It's a really really great storyline and original sort of film. This was made about 1973, I believe, something like that. So it's quite dated now, but it still looks really really cool, and it still holds its sort of suspense into the film. It is a very slow burn film. There's no sort of like um big action scenes or gore or stuff like this, but there's some sort of quite horrific scenes by the sort of the narrow corridors of Venice, where it's all sort of isolated, and you hear these strange noises, and sometimes you get people shouting out their windows, and it can be quite daunting at times. And when you see like a flash of red, like a child running through like across a bridge or something like that here in Venice, it's quite haunting, and it's quite eerie and spooky. Um, it brings a whole new sort of element to Venice, where Venice is a beautiful ancient town or city. This brings like it up to like a real haunted, eerie place, and I really like that. Um, the pluses of this edition, the transfer is fantastic. It's done by Studio Canal. It is available on 4K as well. I nearly picked up the 4K one because it's released as a collector's edition, which looks really really nice. But I actually brought something else later, which I hope is coming in the week. So I thought, well, I'll pick this up because this I got from CEX, and it's about £5, and it's really really cool. It's 2 discs. It's got the movie on one disc and a disc of special features on the other. So what a bargain! And it's got lots of special features on it. The cast is stellar, absolutely amazing. Julie Christie's fantastic, and Donald Sutherland is. I keep wanting to say Donald Pleasance. Donald Sutherland is absolutely fantastic. I think he's a great horror film actor. I mean, he was great in this. He was great in Invasion of the Body Snatchers and things like that. He's a really cool sort of underrated sort of actor. Yeah, and it's a fantastic story. Negatives, if you're going in for, it is a horror film, but if you're expecting this scary film, it's not. It's not a scary film. It's not a gory film. It's a slow burn psychological horror. it plays with your mind a little bit, and you need to think things through. And it's sort of like a film that you probably get more out of if you watch it a couple of times. And I think that benefits as well, this film, from that. But the fact that this is like a British film, it's fantastic. It's such a cool film. And it's got that real 70s feel about it, obviously, because it would have, because it was filmed in. But I love that. I just love that sort of. Everything in the world seemed much bigger then, you know, and a lot more. Oh, I don't know. It was just a cool time. I was so young, so I don't remember too much of it. But to me, everything seemed so big. Airports and things like this were huge, like meccas to the another world almost. And that's what I love about the 70s. And this has that real sort of 70s feel to it, which is fantastic. I'm going to score the film an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because obviously it does lack a little something. Probably the pacing of the film is something that can be a bit hard to grasp. It does run for nearly 2 hours, and it is a lot of jibber jabber. And it is quite, well, how's this horror film? What's going on? You know, it's one of those films that develops as it builds through. And the more you watch it, the more horrifying I think I find it. But it's an amazing film. Don't Look Now, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's a really cool film. It's not one you get bandied about a lot because it's not an action or a gory film. So a lot of horror fans probably it's probably quite low down. But if you're really into the sort of psychological horror films, psychological thrillers, then this has got to be way up there with things like Psycho and things like that, where it plays with your mind a bit. Great film. Guys, till my next video, please check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Manview Film, RS Designs, Pizzawell. I'm the Ice Lord. Sarah of Horror, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. He's done some good videos lately on some of the Blade films. Go over and check them out if you can. And a massive shout out to my lad Lemon Lord. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.